I've seen parents very soft on their kids and essentially become like a buddy, a friend through their whole life. But the kid doesn't turn out to be great because the parent didn't have that tough conversations with them and have that standards, that tough standards. When the kid crosses that line, you've got to bring them back in there. And the only way you can bring them back into that, within those boundaries that you set, is you've got to be tough on them. A lot of parents don't want to do that.
Discipline is the avoidance of long-term punishment. It's like if you don't discipline your kids, all you're doing is that you're delaying a lifetime of just ongoing punishment. That kid's just going to cop it time and again because you didn't discipline them from a young age.
It's actually very hard to be tough on your kid. It's much easier to be easy on the kid. Much easier. Unfortunately, what's happened now is the ones that are trying to be tough on their kids, which is actually trying to make the hard work, they're saying they're a bad parent, when actually they're the ones putting all the time in. At the end of the day, we all know the next generation is not as good as the generation before. We all know that. So what's going wrong? What's going wrong is...
Welcome back to the Out of Interest podcast. Those that are joining again, thank you so much for coming on. Those that are listening to us, please do give us a review. Those that are watching us, like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. And those new on board, watching for the first time, welcome. This episode of the podcast, it's not a guest, but it is backed by popular demand. We did a podcast a few weeks ago, with Hakan about the how would we call it?
The Hejaz story?
The Hejaz story. How him and Muzza, opened up the company, I guess. And the people really loved that episode. So we thought, we'll bring it back and we'll just change up the topic once a month potentially and see how we go about it. This podcast is going to be about parenting, and it's going to be a good one because, one, he's my dad. So I'm going to have a couple of bones to pick with him. And two, he thinks he's the greatest parent of all time. Maybe we could debunk that theory. And four, since he's the greatest parent of all time, he probably will share some wisdom. Isn't that right, Hejaz Ozyon?
I cannot wait to, I've got to keep doing my parenting with you. So look, even now I'm still doing my mentoring. It doesn't finish parenting.
Do you think it's easier being a parent when the kids get older? Is it easier parenting me as I get older? Or how does that go?
As you get older, right now?
Yeah. Does it get easier?
Gee, that's a great question. It's definitely harder.
Oh, come on, man.
Undisputed.
No, we barely interact.
Undisputed harder. Undisputed. Because when you're a kid, you just, slap them behind the ears, move there, go here, sit there, bring my tea, polish my shoes, all that usual stuff, the good stuff, all right? But now, you don't want to do it anymore, all right? I say, you know what, Ali? I got a bit of pain on my back. I need a bit of a massage. You don't want to do it, all right? So it definitely gets harder now, all right, to get your kids motivated to do, look after the parent, So... not only that, of course, now you think you're just smart now because you're a parent yourself, and now, you haven't got time now to listen to your dad. So, of course, it's much harder now. And, of course, you need me more than ever now.
What?
Right? You need me more than ever. You just don't realise it yet.
I just think that a kid who's very, very young has no choice but to do what their parents tell them to do because they can't go anywhere else. They're stuck there. As you get older, like, now I have a choice whether to hang around with my parents or not. And then I reckon that's when parents really realize how good a parent they actually are. If your kids still want to hang around with you and still want to be part of your life and all that type of stuff, then you're like, you know what? I've done a reasonable enough job for them to connect with me at a human level rather than just a dependency. If there's, as a child, infant kids, they're dependent. They have no choice but to stay with you. Where are you going to go? They've got no roof, they've got no money, they've got no nothing. As they get older, the good thing is in your case, all three of your kids are still around you. Which means that you probably haven't done the worst job.
That's what I'm saying, I'm the greatest parent of all time.
I know the greatest.
I can't get rid of them, even if I want to get rid of them, I can't get rid of them.
You tried many times, but it's always failed.
Yeah.
What makes a good parent?
What makes a good parent? Yeah. Having a balance between educating the kid, guiding them, mentoring them, teaching them, providing for them, and being able to make them a good person is ultimately, you would find out if you're a good parent once the outcome is there, but spending a lot of time makes a good parent. But now when I say spending a lot of time, it's not just spending a lot of time just for the sake of spending time. It's got to be productive time. That's the difference. Now, there are parents who will be a donkey for the kid, where the kid will just go on the back of the parent will just walk around like a donkey, and the parent will be on the back of the parent, right? And the parents there that would actually take the kid on a life journey with them, teaching them life, okay? So playing around with the kid is one thing, but really mentoring them and teaching them, and that's so hard to do. Because you've got to spend a hell of a lot of time with the kid. And you've got to keep repeating yourself all the time, repeating yourself. It's like you can't get bored of teaching the kid. And then secondly, understanding what success and failure for the kid is. Because the kids, if you say just making an effort is good enough, this is my opinion, all right? For me, that's not good enough. I like to give tough love, and you know that because I was your dad. You know that.
Your tough love is on another level.
Yeah, but tough love will make the kid excel. Okay, I'm a guy, and for me, the way you understand if your parent loves you is when they're tough on you. That when they really want you to succeed, and I'm not saying really, really hard tough love, but I'm saying there has to be an element of that. So essentially, if the parent is not having that tough love with you, like being tough on you when on your fails and when you need to be tough on you, then maybe the parent doesn't love you as much as you think. That is only me. I've seen parents very soft on their kids and essentially become like a buddy, a friend, through their whole life. But the kid doesn't turn out to be great. Ultimately, because the parent didn't have that tough conversations with them and have that standards, that tough standards. When the kid crosses that line, you've got to bring them back in there. And the only way you can bring them back into that, within those boundaries that you set, is you've got to be tough on them. A lot of parents don't want to do that because it's exhausting. It's exhausting being tough on your kid. It really takes a lot out of you. So most parents would rather not have that really tough stance on them or that tough conversation on them. So what they'll do is just let it go. I just want to be friends with them. I don't want them being, hating me and that sort of mindset. So at the end of the day, the kid doesn't turn out great.
It's a cop-out, really.
It's a cop-out. It's laziness.
Yeah.
I see that as laziness. I know there's other parents out there that will say, no, that's just good parenting. You got to be friends with your kids and you got to do this and you got to try to educate them in a nice way. No, I don't agree with that. If they're past the boundaries, you got to bring them back into the boundaries. The only way you do that is being tough on them.
But you mentioned that you need to spend a lot of time with your kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, kids, particularly young kids, mimic their parents' behavior a lot. So whatever behaviors you exhibit, whatever mindset you have, whatever it is your kids are like, they absorb that. They're a sponge. The challenge, I think, these days is that a lot of people who are becoming parents, they themselves aren't fully formed up there. They're really half-baked. And these poor kids are absorbing all of that. And these parents are they themselves are all over the shop. And then now we're starting to see this whole generation coming through of cuckoo kids. Because the parents are whacked. So it's a mess right now.
The
And
proof's in the pudding, man. Like, people are getting worse and worse.
Oh,
Like,
that's
the
clear.
next generation's worse, the following, it's going to keep getting worse.
I don't think there's any doubting that it's getting worse. And we know from the Prophets, Sallallahu hadith on that as well. At the end of the day, we all know the next generation is not as good as the generation before. We all know that, okay? So what's going wrong? What's going wrong is parents think they can parent better than their own parents, which is a mistake, okay? The problem is they don't want to have those tough conversations with their kids as far as discipline is concerned. Discipline is a word that people don't like talking about.
that's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, okay? But without discipline, then how does a kid know what's the boundaries?
I'll give you an example on that. So yesterday or Sunday, took the girls for their grading at Taekwondo, horse Taekwondo. So they go to MSAC and we have that big grading day to move their belt up. There was Martin Hall, who's the guy who set this whole thing up, and he's the Australian Olympian, whatever he is. He gets up there between the different shifts for different kids, and he gives parenting advice to parents. He's an old school parent. He's a grandfather now, and this and that. And he got up and said this very thing yesterday. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, discipline is not punishment. And you could sense all these woke parents that are standing there a little bit, oh, shit, you can't say that. Discipline is not punishment. He's like, discipline is the avoidance of long-term punishment. I was like, that's a fair point.
That's a good point.
Very well put. I was like, if you don't discipline your kids, all you're doing is that you're delaying a lifetime of just ongoing punishment. That kid's just going to cop it time and again because you didn't discipline them from a young age. I was like, you're spot on. And you could just sense that it got very cold in the room all of a sudden. There was thousands of people over there. And all the parents was like, there's all these woke parents sitting in the stands over there, had their own weird, wacky, funny way of parenting these days. And like, oh no, we can't parent our children. It's exactly what you said. They have to grow up with their little Avo toast and their mocha lattes and give them whatever they want. That's all it is. As parents, we're a servant or slave to our kids. Whatever they want, they receive, because we can't have that hard chat with our children.
See, the problem with that now is the parents that do say that he was correct, that's actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That's actually true. Even they won't do anything. You know why? Because it's hard. It's actually very hard to be tough on your kid. It's much easier to be easy on the kid.
Yeah.
Much easier. So, unfortunately, what's happened now is the ones that are trying to be tough on their kids, which is actually trying to make the hard work, they're saying they're a bad parent. When actually they're the ones putting all the time in.
Yeah.
Okay? They're the ones that actually have the desire for their kids to be successful. But yet, they're known as the bad kid now. So I always said through my whole lifetime, I said everyone could be a parent. Everyone could be a father or mother. And I'm sick and tired. I'm genuinely sick and tired of people now saying, you know what, my biggest accomplishment in my life is being a dad or, being a mum. My kids are my greatest accomplishment. Unfortunately, maybe they're not aware that billions and billions of people before them were parents as well, and there will be after them as well. So it's not the greatest accomplishment in the world. It's not hard to be a parent. What's hard is to be a good parent. That's the hard part. And for that child to grow up as a very a good person, as far as the way you want that kid to be, be it religious, be it has values and morals and a great human being for society. Have you accomplished that? If that child has grown up to be a great, a provider and a good person, then you've somewhat accomplished what you want to do. But if they haven't, then you're just another one that came and went as just another dud parent that thought they were good when you weren't.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about.
Every parent has a different goal for their child, though. I mean, in this day and age, it's always the same thing about you want them educated and have a good job, buy a house. No one really talks about, hey, I want this kid to actually be a good human being. Like, when was the last time you spoke to a new parent, right, and be like, and you have a discussion, and the first thing is, I'm going to train this guy into be this or doctor
Coding,
or
software
this,
engineer,
and blah blah blah. No one talks about I want this kid to be a good human being and not treat their neighbors like shit, not treat their friends like shit. No one ever. I've never come across anyone that's actually spoken about that. It's always, I'm gonna make this guy into this profession, that profession, blah blah blah. But I don't honestly. Have you guys come across that? I personally haven't. It is extremely impossible to come across.
Yeah. You don't see it much, but I don't know. For me as a parent, the scary thing is, at the end of the day, your child is a representation of you. So when they go out into the world with everything that you've taught them, they're a reflection of you as a parent. If they turn out to be a horrible human being, at some level, most people will say that kid was brought up the wrong way. That's how it is. Because that's what forms your view of how you treat other human beings. And that's where, again, there's a lot of pressure on parents that, okay, well, I need to model the right behavior to my children so that they then go out into the world and reflect that right behavior out to the world. Otherwise, where will they learn that from? Schools are not teaching it. Schools are going the completely opposite way. Society doesn't do it. Social media doesn't do it. Somebody has to model the right behavior.
Okay, but now you got all the whole mental health issues as well. So it's so easy to diagnose yourself as a mental ill person because you could discipline your kids and they're going to go on TikTok and see, oh, this guy's parent does this for them and my dad or mom doesn't do that. I am sad now. I am depressed. I want to be taken away from my parents. It's so easy now. It's that easy. So what do you say to that? Because back in your days, you had no technology. So you guys couldn't go on TikTok and be like, oh, shit, compare my parents. Oh, you're a shit dad, right? Where's my footy ball and where's my acai, right? But this kid is rolling in all sorts of acais and Hot Wheels, right? So that comparison leads to depression and then, boom, you're a shit parent all of a sudden.
It's funny that you're saying that because I grew up obviously in a different time, okay? And the way we grew up was, whatever our parents do, they're the best parents in the world, regardless. They could belt us up every day with a shovel. It doesn't really matter. They're the greatest parents in the world.
Did you get belted up every day with a shovel?
Yeah, with a shovel. From my dad. He's hit me a few times with a shovel in the backyard.
Everything makes sense.
And my mum, with that, oklava. What's that? Like, those sticks.
It's
that
the rolling
rolling pin.
rolling
pin for the pastries. The long one.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I got hit by my mum with that, and my dad with the shovel. But look, that's life. Regardless, they're the greatest parents in the world. Until this day, I'll still say that they're the best parents in the world, regardless. All right, because at the end of the day, this is what I look at. Okay, this is what I look at as me as being the son. Okay, is did I grow up? Yes, I did. Am I healthy? Yes. Am I smart? Yes. Well, they've done everything they can for me. That's it. All right. What else could I want from my parents? All right. They protected me from bad people. Yes. All right. So you know what? They've done everything that they can for me, and for me, that's what a parent's about. All right. As long as they provide food, shelter, and I have access to education and healthcare. I mean, what else could I want from my parents? Bad people couldn't get to me. What you're saying here is the kids these days, that maybe there is social pressure out there on what their parents should look like or what they should provide them. I don't know. Maybe you guys should answer that. What's the kids these days wanting from the parents? Because at my time, it was very simple. And it was easy.
Yeah. I feel more so these days, like there's a big push towards having, like I think back in your generation, it was parents, if they had, let's say, 3 kids or 5 kids, whatever it is, it was almost like a one-size-fits-all approach. Okay, we will have one style of parenting that we're going to use across all of our children, and some will thrive under that environment, and some will capitulate under that environment, but so be it. That's the way we parent. I think in this generation, it's a bit different now, where parents are being more, like I know we do this as parents. We know what works for one kid, and that same strategy doesn't work for the other kid. They're different. Their personality is different. Their attitude is different. They're just different, okay? And you need to find a different style for them. And that even schools are pushing towards it. Society pushes towards that. So, and back to your question then, I think if you can cater for your kids adequately in that regard, I'm not saying be soft on them, whatever it is, but tough love, like some kids, for example, after a certain point, they become immune to tough love. You can only belt up somebody in X times before they're like, you know what, I'm going to get belted regardless. So the belting doesn't work anymore. I'm immune to it. At school, you
Reminds me of me.
It reminds me of Ali.
Yeah, you remember this at school, right?
But with Ali, I had different disciplines. He used to love his Xbox and his PlayStation.
Yeah.
So his tough love would be, you know what? You're banned from playing your games
He
for 1 month.
banned me for 3 months once.
Yeah.
For what?
3 months.
What'd you do?
I don't. It was something stupid. For some reason,
Sounds
things
like you,
come.
but-
Like I did not finish my food. That's generally what's coming to my mind.
Probably was. Yeah.
3
Yeah,
months
it
for
probably
finishing
was.
dinner.
Yeah, but it's about the boundaries. You got to finish your food, okay?
Like, oh my god, you know what this guy used to do, right? I'm sorry to change the topic, but this guy was such a psycho sometimes.
Oh, here we
We'd
go.
go to Taekwondo, right? He's there in a corner watching. If me or my brother was kicking the pad shit, you know what he'll do in the corner?
Oh,
He used to look us in our soul. He's just like, I'm like, yeah, we're getting bashed tonight. We're not having a good food tonight. We're gonna get bashed. And you know what? We used to get thrown on the couch. Him takes off his belt. Poof.
Now, come on, let's not go that
no,
far.
but
yeah?
explain this to me then. So Ali, when you've seen that gesture, how does that make you react at that point in time? Does your performance improve or go worse?
At that point in time, you're too busy crying and trying to want
No,
the
it
torch
used
to
to
end.
improve.
So effectively,
It
you
used to
capitulate
improve.
under pressure.
But it did actually make me better in Taekwondo.
There you go. Or it's my case. All right?
I don't know if the delivery was really like the right way
It
of
was
doing
effective.
it, but it was damn effective.
It was effective,
Right,
right?
it was
It's the
damn
outcome that
effective.
matters. And you know what? He's successful in life. You know why? Because I brought that discipline into his life, right? But at a very early stage, right? In his life. So you're right as far as, belting someone, belting a kid to become immune. He was that. But I had other ways of doing it, right? Belting wouldn't work for it.
It's come to a point where I used to love getting bashed. He made it like it's part of life, man. You gotta love this.
Stockholm syndrome.
Hit me, Dan. Come on. Give me some, man. It's come to that point.
So for him, it was other stuff. Other ways of
Yeah,
discipline.
but I would actually prefer getting bashed than taking my Xbox away.
Yeah, see?
As
So I
long
knew I
as
would
you
hurt
don't
him.
take my Xbox,
I'll say, you know what? Your
could
Xbox
bash
will go.
the shit out of me. Like, take my soul, but not my Xbox.
Yeah, I rest my case. See? Every kid has got a soft spot.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
then
you target.
as technology started advancing, he started advancing, right? So when the internet came about,
Oh,
online
yeah.
gaming, you know what he used to do? Not take the Xbox
Yeah,
away.
the internet.
Turn the internet off.
Turn the internet off. Now I'm stuck. I can't play with friends. I can't do anything. I'm just there playing the same boring single player game again and again and again. Like, you become psychotic after some time. So he was evolving. He kept evolving. This
Evolving the hard, tough love.
as
The tough love.
technology, right? So parents these days need to evolve the technology as well. I feel like, you know, take
It's
the
like
phone
the
away.
mobile phone.
Take TikTok
Take the
away.
mobile phone away, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on this topic, I'm interested to get your perspective on this, both of you. There's a petition being run at the moment to move the legal age for social media from 13 to 16. So
Is
they're
it
call-
legal age for it?
Yeah. So they're calling it 36 months. It's a 36-month campaign. It's run by, you know, Fitzy and Whipper and these guys, the guys who run Nova show and
Yeah,
stuff like
it's not going to go through
so,
that.
so they're pushing for that. I think there's like 100 and something odd thousand people that have signed that petition. It's to get Facebook, Insta, whatever it is, to move that age from 13 to 16. Because like at 13, a kid is not mentally in a place where they can receive all of this feedback from the world and interact at that level with the world. Because you don't have like tiered access to social media. Once you have access to social media, you have access to whole social media, right? You don't have, it's not like, oh, you've unlocked X level of Instagram and then as you get older, it improves. You get the whole thing. What's your
How's that going to work? How is that going to work? Right? You're creating your account. How old are you? Right? And you
can fudge the
you
age.
pick the date and then, okay, 13. And then Facebook says, hey, you're too young, buzz off. You know
change
what?
the
You know
age.
what? The guy's going to change the page. I mean, it's honestly not going to do anything.
Yeah,
Honestly, I didn't even know there was an
Yeah.
age restriction. I had no
No,
idea.
there is. There is
But I
age
feel like, honestly, the fact is, I don't think anyone right now in this day and age should be on social media. It affects even the grown man,
Yeah.
a grown woman.
Well,
It
I'm
affects
happy you
everyone.
said that because you know me. I believe in totally banning social media. I haven't got any social
This
media.
guy
Just linked it.
accidentally created Facebook.
Really?
He accidentally
years
created
ago.
Facebook.
Many years
He
ago.
put some random profile picture of him holding a calculator, and he forgot the password. Doesn't know what email he used, and there's a Facebook account.
I've seen that
This is
profile.
from 10 years ago.
and he has no idea how he created it.
Yeah.
Right?
That was for a university assignment. I had to
it's
create a
still there.
Facebook page.
It's still
It's
there.
still there? How do I get rid of this thing?
I don't know. It's finished.
Okay. Anyway, I got no social media other than LinkedIn, and I don't know why you need it.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what you need. I don't even know what's on these things. But anyway, what's the purpose of social media?
It's to
Anyway,
create depression, I think.
the Great Depression.
It's to create depression.
Oh.
Great depression.
That's where depression starts, social media.
Yeah.
The comparison
But you know,
destroys lives.
One problem that we're having right now with our kids is that, you know, you give your kids access to YouTube. Now, I don't know if you know this, but you've seen this. YouTube now has YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts are effectively a TikTok and Instagram feed on YouTube. And
Okay.
there's no way to switch off Shorts from your kids'
There
YouTube.
isn't?
You can't switch it off. So when you give your kid YouTube, they have YouTube the whole box and dice. So even though you can control the age of or the type of content your kids receive because of their age, they still get Shorts. And Shorts are what kill kids. Because like if you look at all these kids that have ADHD and all these mental disorders and whatnot, it's because their attention span, it now lasts for 4 seconds. It's like watch a little bit, move, watch a little bit, scroll, and your kid becomes mentally sort of, you know, sort of conditioned to that. And there's no way to turn it off. There's no setting on YouTube that says turn it off. I Googled it up and you know what the solution was? Download an older version of YouTube that didn't have Shorts.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that either. Because the only YouTube available online is the current YouTube.
So this is a great question for YouTube because he knows what I'd do if I was like a young parent right now, the way I was, I wouldn't give phones to my kids. Like I remember,
Until what age?
Mommy got a phone, all right, when he was in his mid-teens, all right. Do you remember? And I smashed it. Remember
Mine
that?
being my elder brother.
Yeah, I smashed that phone. I said, I don't allow you.
You
to
smashed the phone?
I smashed the phone.
I mean, I remember you not allowing to use deodorant, but I don't remember.
Oh, jeez.
he didn't allow my brother to use deodorant. My brother used to hide.
This is getting nasty,
He used to hide his deodorant in some closet, right? And I was a bit of an idiot. I actually snitched. I'm like, hey, Dad, he's using the deodorant, and I think he got belted
Fucking
the
little
shit
son
out of
of
it. He got belted like nobody's business, right? For using deodorant.
Anyway, I smashed his phone, all right, because I thought, you know, for a teenager, no good, all right. So, what are you guys doing about it now? So, you see, if it was me, all right, there's no way in the world I'd give my kids social media right now or of mobile phone.
Is a great way for kids to learn, and for everyone to learn, and there's no doubting that. It's when the kids start developing their own brain and they start exploring this web of shitness of social media. That's when everything
Okay,
goes
so
south.
what are you guys going to do about
Okay,
it?
no. But, okay, let's go back to your parenting for a second. So he if he ate his dinner every day, got access to his Xbox. Okay, his Xbox has an online multiplayer community.
Yep.
So he can then talk to anybody he wants online. He can get trolled by anybody. He can get
I could get
seduced by anybody.
groomed, man.
Yeah, he can. And you
I could get groomed.
But the thing is, you had no idea about that. You had no idea.
I actually, no. I
Yeah,
didn't know
there you
that.
go.
You can actually get groomed on a game.
Of course you can.
Yes.
Of
Okay.
course you can.
See, I should smash your Xbox down, right?
Don't touch my Xbox.
You've got all these games now, Fortnite and all this type of stuff out there where you can, you create your own player, Minecraft, all that multiplayer atmosphere. So even with my girls, for example, okay, you have access to Minecraft, but not Minecraft multiplayer. I'm not giving you access where some bloke sitting in somewhere, 85-year-old perverted bloke can do some.
There's stories of that.
It's crazy
It's
stuff.
happened
Okay, so what are you going to do when your daughters are in their teens? What are you going to do? Just keep them away from social media?
I'm going to push the age out by a lot.
How much are we talking about here?
Ideally, 16 to 18.
But that's the thing, was it? Right? He banned deodorants of my brother.
Yeah,
But even he was getting contraband from somewhere and using deodorant. I feel like when you ban something, they're
Yeah.
gonna rebel and do it.
Yeah.
That's when the real parenting comes in. Actually teaching morals and actually humanity in kids that parents don't do now. Right? Shit parents, almost 99.99%, I just made that stat up by the way, 99.9% of parents will give an iPad to their young child just so they're distracted so they don't have to parent. Right? It's parents these days are just lazy. They're lazy. Everyone's lazy. People are lazy to work. People want to get rich quick. People are lazy to parent. People are just lazy. People Uber Eats. Everyone Uber Eats. I Uber Eats like 15 times a day at this point, right? So like everyone's lazy. That's when parenting comes in. That's why parents are shit these days.
So what are you guys doing about it?
Again, it's gonna come down to like you gotta teach humanity to kids. Humanity, like
Yeah, but that takes a lot of effort. I just
That
said
takes a lot of
before.
effort.
It takes a lot of effort.
So what we're saying over here is let them use, for example, social media at their ripe old age of 13, but teach them not to misuse it.
I feel like
Are
that's the right way.
you insane?
And that's what I'm saying. That's the challenge, right?
That's not going to work.
So look, what's the alternative? You ban it,
Yeah.
and they find another way to use it.
Well, it worked with Ali. Boy, hard life, tough love. Look, he's a great kid now.
Great kid.
That's
That's debatable to some people.
That's a different podcast altogether.
At the end of the day, the kid works 14 hours a day, right?
Hey, relax. It's like 18 hours a day.
18 hours.
19.
Okay, 19 hours a day. See, that is a good kid when he's working hard, okay? That way, he hasn't got time to come up to do mischievous stuff, okay? Do something that's,
There's always time for that.
yeah, all right, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's a hard-working kid. That's what matters, all right? So clearly, my tough love worked on him, all right?
Yeah, I'm going to be open about this, right? It's going to pump up your tires, but it's the facts, right? When I saw this guy busting his ass, because you said at the start, your what is it? Your kid's a reflection
Mimic,
of
yeah, mimic behavior.
mimic. When I saw him work his ass off, right, at a young age, I was like, that's what I saw, right? He was a type of guy that never treated anyone like shit, other than probably me, right? But
We call that tough love,
he's never wronged anyone,
Yeah.
right? All right, he's never wronged anyone. He hasn't stolen from anyone, not that I know of, right? And he was just sucker for good, and you know that too.
Yeah.
Like he's nice to people that are shit to him,
Correct.
right? Which is a concern. That's
Yeah.
that's a topic in itself, right? But I saw that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've turned into that because I'm also the same dumbass,
I've seen
right?
that.
I am nice to people that are shit to me,
Correct.
right? I work like a dog, right? But you're right. You are what your parents are. And that's why people should, I think you said this a while ago, like when you become a parent, like you should put an effort to yourself. And your kid will just, someone said that a while ago. I can't
But
remember who.
it is true. And that's where a lot of people spend more time trying to perfect their kids rather than improve themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you fixed half your own problems, your kid will fix themselves up.
Because I think you've always said it. Again, I can't remember who said it. Like, if the parent prays, the kid will follow,
Yeah.
right? Because that's actually a good point. Because I remember seeing a friend of mine, he was praying, and then his daughter came next to her, a child, like 3 years old, and then started mimicking the dad.
Yeah.
Right? She had no idea what she was doing, but it becomes the norm for them, right? So if you're a shit person, if you're a shit husband yelling at the wife, the wife's yelling at the dad, the kid's gonna see that, and then he or she's gonna form into that. So I think we have come up to a great conclusion, saying maybe you should focus on yourself,
Well,
and then your kid will follow.
That comes down to what you're saying is a role model. So if the best way of parenting is being a good role model.
Yeah.
Okay. And therefore the kid will at least have a role model to follow. So if you can't do that, then you already lost the fight, most of the fight anyway, because you're not a great role model. So it's like being hypocritical if you're saying to the kid to do something, but you're doing something else. It's like, a parent saying to the kid, and I've seen this many times during my time, where you should never smoke, but the parent's got to smoke.
Exactly.
You never smoke, all right? Don't do what I did, all right? Or drinking alcohol and gambling and all this sort of stuff. No, don't do this. Learn from your dad. This is not good to do, but they're doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? That's not the way you of being a good role model.
Yeah.
Okay?
And another way of framing all this is that you see a lot of parents these days complaining about how their kids are influenced by online personalities, influencers, or whatever it is. But as a parent, you need to take that position of the ultimate influencer in your kid's life, because that's what you are to him.
Yeah.
You are the number one influence in his life. And anybody who has any relationship with this guy knows that he is sort of a chip off the old block, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
Even though it doesn't
It has
like
pros and cons.
Pros and cons, right? But everything has pros and cons. So at the end of the day, as a parent, you're like, okay, well, how can I, if my kid's going to be influenced by everybody else, so be it. But I need to be able to trump that influence, and I need to have that position in my kid's life.
Well, it's interesting you said that, because when they were young, all right, they probably won't be aware of this, but when they were young, I used to always say that, I got to be spending all my time with the kids. Otherwise, they're going to find other friends to spend time with, and they're going to be influenced by those friends.
Correct.
So I say that, if the kids want to go out, play and do this, I'll go with them. I'll be their friend on those parks and, playing football, playing cricket together, doing all the activities together. That way, they don't need a friend because they've got their dad. All right? Because I always said to myself, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
Yeah.
All right? And they're going to have bad influence from the other friends. So I'd rather be there. But that takes a lot of effort. Again, we're going back to the effort.
Speaking of friends, it's a good point that you brought up. Should a parent influence who a kid should be friends with?
Yes.
No doubt. And I've done that
Yeah.
too. So
You've done that
I've
throughout
done
my
that
whole
many
life.
times.
Man, think about it. It's like having a bucket with a hole in it, man. You're pumping your kid with all this positivity, the right morals, right? And they've got a bad friend. And all of a sudden, everything's just leaking out. It's pointless, completely pointless. And especially at a young age, you can really control it. Like I control it. I can absolutely 100%. The kids that come over, you have these little play dates or whatever it is. I absolutely control who the kid is, what family they come from. 100%. I'm not going to let my good hard work go to waste just because some stupid kid's coming with the wrong
Even
stuff.
now, I implement that to myself. Like, I'm very picky who I'm friends with, because you are what your friends are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And when I meet someone new and I see their circle, I'm like, this person has shit friends. 100% this is a horrible person. And they end up being a horrible
They do.
person. Like, you attract the shit.
You are your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Again, woke parents won't allow that. Won't agree to that.
Yeah.
They're like, my kid should be friends with whoever they want, and
I don't think so. Really?
yeah, you'd be
No
surprised.
parent's going to say that.
You come
There
across a girl, a lady with the blue hair, right? She will,
With
she
blue
will
hair?
fight you, man. She'll fight you.
What?
Oh, mate.
It's this generation of you be you. That's it. Okay? We're going to love you for who you are, how you are, what you are. Doesn't matter. And that's how
But
it is.
then what's the point of having a parent if the parent's not there to protect the kid?
It's a cop-out. It's the easiest way to make it
But
socially
isn't
acceptable.
that the job of the parent to protect the kid? The protecting the kid also means you're protecting the kid from the environment.
To answer that question, the way a lot of parents look at it today is that my job as a parent is to love my child unconditionally. Irrespective of
Are
what
you-
they
are
do,
you serious or
how
what?
they, yeah. That's how it is. Unconditional love. Parents out there pride themselves on that. Parents out there giving parenting advice and whatnot. It's like, okay, well,
They're
how do you...
giving parenting advice.
Yeah. And when they're asked, okay, how do you parent your child? Their answer is in one statement, I love my child unconditionally. That is it. And what that means is my kid can do whatever the hell they want. They have my blessing. They have my sign off. Doesn't matter. Harm other people, steal, do whatever you like. Doesn't matter. Because I will love you unconditionally. It's the biggest cop-out in history.
But what I'm trying to understand by you saying that is, okay, then what's the role of a parent then if that's the case? If the kid's going to learn their own life.
You're a walking bank.
Exactly. ATM facility.
That's it.
That's all it
ATM.
is.
You're not there to educate, train, protect, all that stuff.
You provide.
The law is changing though as well. Like the Australian law is making a parent redundant. You speak up, you do anything, you're finished.
But the child hasn't learned anything in life yet. Someone's got to teach it.
Yeah.
And that's what schools are for, apparently.
Schools don't teach life.
Apparently they do.
That's what a parent's there for. That's what a parent's there for.
Yeah.
To mentor the kid and train and develop that kid.
Yeah.
And protect.
I mean,
And when I say
there's-
protect, I mean properly protect.
There's so much things that you got to protect your child from now. I feel like this probably applies more for the Western countries. Being in Australia, like it's almost becoming impossible for a Muslim to have a child in this country because of you put them in the education system. They are being fed with all sorts of things, right? There's living in Airport West. There's a child library in Nidri.
Child library.
Something like
Never
that,
heard of child library
right?
before.
And it was on Facebook. This popped up, and that library got a lot of slack because a drag queen came
Oh, I've heard about this.
to
Yeah.
read books for kids. A drag queen, like 3-year-old kids, 4-year-olds, right? And parents are like, "What the hell is a drag queen doing, reading books to my kids? Like, what the hell is going on, right?" And then the library's response was, "Your kid needs to see these
exposed
things,
to all
be
this."
exposed, so they
Yeah.
decide what they want to be, right?" So a lot of those parents actually got in trouble, right? Actually, cops actually went up to them, started questioning them, saying, "Are you like mentally abusing your child, or should we take your kid away? Like, what is wrong with you? Get shit together, right?" So like, it's becoming. Look, it's not just social media. It's not just friends. It's not this. It's not that. Like, it's the problem is ever growing. It's growing.
Just so I'm clear, because maybe
A
I'm
drag queen.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's a drag queen again?
Picture Hejaz Ozyon in makeup and lovely blonde wig, and a
Okay.
transvestite.
So that's what a drag queen is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a man that dresses up like a woman.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Okay. Just had to clarify that.
So just rocking up there and just reading this, and they're conditioning kids like this is normal, right? And then as a parent, how do you protect your child from that? How do you protect your child from that? Because if you say anything, you're gonna be done for bullying a child.
You don't have to say anything. You just act. You don't send your kid. That's it.
But
That's what
they're
the role of parent is.
implementing this
Protect.
across every school, every public school, and a lot of Muslims, right? A lot of parents can't afford private schools, so you're sending your kids into these. I don't even know how to describe it.
Let me just understand, because maybe I'm out of touch of what's
You're
going on in the
definitely out of
world.
touch.
Maybe I'm a little bit out of touch. Let me just clarify. Are you saying that parents don't own the kids anymore? Is that what you're saying? Because usually parents dictate on what the kids get exposed to. Okay, that's my understanding of me growing up as me being parent of my kids when they were small. I dictate on what the kids are going to be taught and what environment they're going to be in. They're my kids, and I will say regarding my kids, I am the one that makes the calls. So you're saying that's taken away from the parents, or
Yes. I'll give you another example. Like, this is how taken away it is. So my barber that I always go to, right? We have deep chats all the time. And he came to me, he's like, "Bro, I had a mum bring their child to get a haircut," right? And the mum was complaining. I'm like, "About what?" And she's like, "One of my younger childs is in prep," right? And the first day at prep, the teachers asked, "What do you identify as?" To a child.
Wow.
So hold on, like 5 prep?
Five.
No way.
Five. And the kids was so confused. First day, asking, "What do you identify as?" And that was the first topic. And then so they sat all the kids down, and then they started teaching these identities, these 3 trillion identities, that you could become a microwave, this microphone, you could become a pot plant, you could become that ball, you could become a cloud. So they're teaching all this shit to these kids.
Preppies, man.
Right?
Wow.
And then the kid came. When the kid came to home and went to the mum, like, "Oh, I could identify as this. What does this mean?" Right? And then the mum's like, "Are you okay?" Right? So the next day she went there. It's like, "What are you guys teaching the kids?" Again, same issue. Cops, this, that. They got involved saying, "Is the kid okay? Are you brainwashing the
Are you
child?"
joking
I
me or
I
what?
swear to God. Right? I swear to God. Right? So I'm going to ask this question to Mazza, because if I ask you, we're going to get cancelled. Right? Mazza, as a
here we
Muslim,
go.
and this is a genuine question for
Okay.
Muslims, right? As a Muslim, how do we protect you being a mufti? Mazza's a mufti. He loves being called a mufti. So Mazza's
I
a
don't
mufti.
love being called it. I just
As a
don't.
parent, how do we protect our children from being... How do I describe this without getting in trouble?
I'm not getting involved here.
How do we teach our children not to be brainwashed?
That's not the right word.
That's not the right word.
How do you teach your children to be Muslim?
Well, you get the question.
Yeah. I answer the question. It's something that I think I, as a parent, and I think every parent these days struggles with. But the way I look at it personally, and again, everyone has their own view on this. Number one, you need to you have to control what you can control, right? You can control the environment that you create for your kids at home. A lot of parents, Muslim parents, don't create a good religious Islamic environment at home. You tell me, as a bloke who's brought up 3 Muslim kids at home, that environment makes a huge difference.
It does.
If your kids are seeing prayer, fasting, Quran, this and that, it will impact their lives. Whether directly, indirectly, it will have an impact. And that will, in a big way, preserve and protect your kids from a whole raft of negative influences externally. Number 2, pay very, very close attention to the environments that you put your kids into, because ultimately you control where your kids go. If your kids are going to a school where these things are being taught or whatever it is, there's no legal obligation on you to send your kids to that environment. If your kids are going to a library where there's a drag queen reading to them, again, no one's put a gun to your head to say you have to send your kids over there. Pull them out, send them somewhere else. There are still enough environments. Do it at home. Have your little reading club, book club, whatever it is at home. Work with other families. So many families these days are now coming together to create their own little cooperatives, like a little co-op where they're like, you know what, we are, and it's not just Muslims. We are traditional Christians. We are traditional this, traditional that, whatever it is. Conservative families who are coming together saying, look, you know what, we're going to create a protected bubble around us to say we're going to live by normal traditional values. Okay, we're not going to identify as pot plants and as books and as whatever it is. We're going to identify as human beings and we're going to live by these moral codes and ethics and whatever, and that's it. And people once upon a time used to call it Amish or whatever it is, but you know what? That's the way that you're going to have to protect your kids these days, because you have to create that little force field around them. Otherwise, society will smash them pillar to post and you won't know what weird vegetable your child will turn out at when they're 20 years old. It's very, very scary, but there's really not much else you can do. And be guided by your faith, by your religion, by your values. That's really about it. That's the way we're trying to do it.
But how long can you do that? That's not sustainable.
It is. Look, you got to work hard.
When kids are very, very young, they're a sponge. That's their formative years, right? So from when they're born until they're, mid to late teens or whatever you inculcate into them, it's surprisingly you'll see that when they get older. Those core values that are there, and you as a more mature parent would know this. Whatever you see in those traits that you see in your kids at a young age, they manifest themselves as they get older. You only see that. You don't see too many kids pivot too much from that. You don't see a kid who grew up being a nutcase or a young nutcase growing up to be something different. It's usually they grow into that mold. So if you can mold them at a young age with the right sort of values and sort of ideologies, you'll see that when they grow up. So you can control them. And then once they're a grown adult, whatever it is, even from an Islamic perspective, they're then responsible. Once they're 18, 20, once they're an adult, they're responsible for their own actions. And then from there, you mentor, you guide, you support, encourage, discourage. That's the best that you can do. And ultimately, in the court of Allah, that's what you're responsible for.
Look, parenting never finishes.
Yeah.
As Muzza sort of rightly said, you go through phases of different types of parenting. Okay, so there'll be times, I'm talking about my own parenting here, where there'll be times when I have that tough love, all right, the discipline, the boundaries, all that sort of stuff, because you're there trying to protect and try to mentor the kids, or train them up to be good people. But then when they're adults, all right, they're going to the late teens and they're going to their 20s as an adult and whatnot. Parenting changes. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to take your Xbox away, all right, you're doing other stuff. It's still tough love, all right, in a different way, okay? Because regardless of how old they get, you're still the parent. And you'll see things in the kid, I'll call them kid, but other people see them as adults, but I'll call them kid, all right? You'll see traits or things in their personalities changing over time. Now, they could be married like yourself. You're married and with children. Right, but so the fact of the matter is, for every child you have different strategies, okay, as a parent, all right. So my job is to make sure that no matter what, you're still getting guidance. And even if you don't want it, I'm going to still try to guide you somewhat, all right. And then of course you've got to be there if the kid does want guidance, okay. So every child you treat differently, even when they're adults. but you're doing it in a different way. So parenting never finishes. Okay, it's always there. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's highly unlikely the kid's going to go off track if you put him on track until his 20s, but there is still that possibility they can go off track. So you've got to always be there for them. So it's not like, you know what, okay, now they're 25 years old, I'll switch off as a dad now. I don't have to be their father anymore. That's it, it's all overdone. Their kid, they're gone. You don't just switch off parenting. You're a father for life.
How do we incorporate Islam into their life in a subtle way? I know what you did was pretty much throw us into an Islamic school.
Not just Islamic school. At home, I had an Islamic environment for you guys. You saw that all the time with us. And it was just natural for you guys.
You know, to your question, Ali, why do you say, how do you do it in a subtle way? Why does that mean a subtle way?
Because everyone's a snowflake these days.
Yeah, but again, you think about your kids. Young, innocent, clean slate. You can build on that whatever you like. You can turn them into a very devout, practicing, traditional, conservative Muslim if you want to. Okay? But they're not a snowflake yet. You can make a snowflake if you want. But that's not how your kids are right now. Same with me.
But the thing is, like, when you send your kids to school, they're going to spend more time at school. And you don't know what they're going to end up at.
Yeah.
It's almost like a lucky dip at this point. You send them, even Islamic schools right now, just terrible.
There's no
They're
guarantees.
terrible. Like, people are they're doing drugs. They're doing a lot more than drugs, right? They're touching each other at this point at Islamic schools. Like, it's pretty bad. Like, I don't know how you could control all this.
But the thing is, at least with Islamic schools, their identity as a Muslim is preserved. And that's what I'm looking at. I reckon this next frontier for Muslim parents, or parents of any religious background, is that at the core, the beliefs, the identity of our children is being challenged in a way that it's never been challenged before. And that, for me as a parent, my number one priority is how can I preserve that? Everything else will fall into place. As long as I can maintain the identity as you know that you are a Muslim female, and everything else goes from there. You know that you are a Muslim boy, and everything goes from there. And that's a big, big challenge in itself. Because if you've lost that, then you've lost everything.
Yeah, but now the modern Muslims talk about how you should not enforce religion on your kids.
Oh,
You should not force them to pray. You should not force them to this, force them to that. Or, like, give you an example what this guy used to do, right? You know, the morning prayer, right? What this guy used to do. What you do to us?
You tell me. I know what I do.
This guy, right, would get cold water.
oh no way.
Cold water in a cup,
Sheesh.
right? He'll open the door, cup, cold water. From the door, he'll throw it. Right? He wouldn't even come to us. Thankfully, he wouldn't come and like friggin' drench us with it. He'd just throw it from the door, and he would always get us. Like, he's mastered it. He would always pinpoint accuracy, boom, and would wake up.
Doesn't that soak their bed, man? Poor kid.
Who cares?
He did not care.
Far out.
Like, you get up, pray, Allah's waiting for you, pretty much, sort of thing. Hurry up, come on, soldier. And we used to go, just do the wudu. And then sometimes I used to not wake up, I was just being a young child. And then he'll open the light. He would leave the light open, the door open, and just go figure it out yourself, sort of thing, right? And like, would that, like, you do that in the current day and age, that kid will be like, I am mentally depressed, please help, right? You can't do that now. You can't.
Are you mentally depressed?
No.
There you go. It worked.
But the kids these days are very weak.
Come on, you're assuming that, man.
Nah, man.
Human doesn't change.
Nah, you look at all the stats and stuff. I don't want to make up a stat, but like, you just
Okay.
look at a young child these days, they're borderline autistic at this point. Like, every child has a problem.
Okay.
Every child has a
So
problem.
my question to you is, like, me, I started everyone at 7 years old. You guys started praying at 7, and fasting at Ramadan at 7 years old. So 7 years old, my thing. Okay. As soon as you turn 7 that day, everything starts. With your daughter, with my granddaughter, what's the plan with her? With the scarf. What age are you planning?
Oh, tough one.
What age?
You know,
my granddaughter. No.
He hasn't thought about that yet.
Let the time come.
Okay, you're the dad now. Me, I knew straight away as soon as my kids were born what I was going to do. What's your plan?
Are you okay? Are you mentally ill? Oh,
Have you thought about that?
no.
Well, could you
When-
start
when the
thinking about
time comes,
No,
we'll
there
think
is no
about it.
time. All this has to be planned. That's what a good parent is.
Plan from years in advance.
Yes.
Come on.
Man, I've already planned what you're going to do in 10 years' time.
What am I doing 10
Alright?
years' time?
Don't worry, that's for me to know, right? So what have you planned?
Ask him.
Yeah.
He's at that time. I still got a long way to go.
No. I planned it as soon as you guys were born. That's what a good parent
Let's
is.
ask Muzza. He's the mufti.
Well, again, if you go back to what the hadith and everything else says, you encourage or you push your kids to start doing all this type of stuff at the age of 7, and then once they're 10, then it's mandatory. So we've stuck to that. At even before 7, pretty much from 5, it was a push towards this type of stuff. And the funny thing is, and again, I think my daughter's actually watched this podcast, so I should be pretty kind to him here.
Which one?
The older one definitely does. But you'd be surprised, Ali. Seriously, if you start to put them on the right track from a young age, by the time they reach the age when they need to do these things, they're the ones who come to you with that request. Like my older one, she said, "Dad, can you buy me a scarf? I want to wear this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Blah blah." I was like, you know what? Jeez, okay, that's solid. So I don't have to have that confrontational conversation to say you should do this. You must do this. No, it's coming from her. I was like, you know what? That's a big tick for me. I was like, you know what? Clearly, wife and I have done something right. Okay, she wants to do it herself, and that to me, I attribute that to a couple of things. Number one, you create an environment around her. She's surrounded by people who are reflective of that. So it's abnormal for her to not wear a scarf up to a particular age because they're naturally disposed to have haya, to have a bit of, modesty and decency. That's how they are. That's as human beings how they're wired to behave. So that starts to come through. And secondly, you create enough encouragement around them to say, look, you know what, it's a good thing, you should do this, blah, blah, blah. When you asked earlier about forcing kids to do things, I don't know. To me, it's like you strongly encourage, but then you also explain why we do these things. Like I'm sure your dad at some point taught you guys.
No, he didn't. He did not.
I'm sure he explained.
His
why.
always response is, "I am your dad. Listen to
No,
your dad."
but at some level, he would have told you what's the benefit of waking up for Fajr and praying that on time. Okay, it was never like it's compulsory. Do it because I said so. Okay, that's usually the end game when it's like, okay, well, you're not getting all the other messages. Just do it because I'm forcing you to do it. And after a certain point, you'll do it naturally because you have to do it anyway. So it's a blend of both those things. You start at a young age planting the seed, and then over time it works out more often than not. You'd be surprised.
So with me, it was like years in advance, I'll prep them up.
Yeah.
Okay? So like at 4 years old, I say, you know what, Ali, you don't have to pray now. Because sometimes you just come and pray next to me when I was a little kid, right? I said, look, right now it's not mandatory, but yeah, if you want to pray with me, that's fine. But I said, when you're 7, as soon as you turn 7, you'll be start praying, all right? Then he used to know that. So years in advance, I'll prep him, like Ramadan, fasting. 5 years old, I said, okay, do 1 day just to get used to it. 6 years old, I got him to do about 3 to 10 days. But he knew straight away, many years in advance, that 7 years old that's where everything starts. Zaid was the same. Like 4 years old, I started prepping her up. At 7 years old, you're gonna have to close up, all right? But now if you want to do it, that's fine. If you don't want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And she knew that. All right? So well in advance, they knew it, and they knew it was coming. So that way, when it did come, it wasn't a shock. They already knew.
Yeah.
Right.
A big one that we've done for a number of years now is that when you're praying at home, don't pray by yourself. Make it a small congregation. Make a little jamaat at home. And it's funny how between you and your wife and the kids automatically just join in. They line up. They have their own little prayer mats. They'll spread them out. They'll put their little scarf on and they'll start praying. And you don't have to say a word because it becomes a cultural thing. Okay, at this time, on this day, at this place, at this space in my house, there's going to be this activity. And they'll start pushing you then. That it's 6:30. Do we pray now? I was like, yeah, okay.
Has your daughters ever done that?
Yeah.
They're passionate of praying.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Because,
different
Ali,
breed.
think about it, man.
Did you throw water at their face?
No, because as he said, from a young age, they're programmed that way. They don't know any differently. That's what I keep on saying. You're talking about snowflakes. We, as parents, create snowflakes. They're not born snowflakes. They're born clean slate. You build on that what you want.
You should start prepping up my granddaughter now.
Otherwise, the wrath of Hakan's coming.
Otherwise, the water's coming. Right? All right?
Yeah, when the time comes.
So you've grown up as me as your father, right? Aren't you going to do the same fatherly stuff that I done to your kids?
Throw water.
Yeah.
Take the Xbox away.
Yeah.
Close the internet.
Yes.
I need the internet.
You know what I mean? Are you going to do it in tough love?
I'm softer than you.
I can see that from miles
I'm
away.
extremely soft.
That's the problem we have.
It'd be impossible to be
I
harsher
am
than him,
going to
man.
be
You'd have to
a
be
woke
softer than him.
parent.
So you're one of those
I'm
problems.
going to be a woke parent.
You're one of those problems.
I mean,
You can't be tough.
not to the level of, hey, you could be a pigeon if you want, but like within reason, man. Like I have my own morals.
There is no reason here. If you're not tough on your kids, you know there's an old saying in Turkish that if you don't be hard on your daughter, you're going to be hard on your knees. Right? You know what that means? You're going to be going like this, why didn't I be more tougher on her? Right? You got to be tough on them, otherwise you're going to regret it. The toughness is because you love them. Okay? You can't just let them do whatever you want. That thing that you're talking about, they just let them do whatever, you're doing that.
I'm not.
Huh?
I'm not.
What?
I'm not.
Letting them do whatever they want. Oh, you can't be tough.
I see, like,
Yeah, you can't be tough.
There's not much I could do right
Yeah, you
now.
can't be tough, yeah?
I mean, I'm
Yeah?
soft.
Yeah.
But again, everyone's different.
There you go. I rest my case.
Everyone's different.
I don't know. I just feel that, like, if you feel that you're going to endure pain now in being a tough parent, it's less pain than you'll endure when that kid turns out to be the complete opposite of what you want them to be. And for the rest of their life, they're just a stark reminder of your F up.
But the thing is, just get a wife that's like tough, and she will do the heavy lifting. So that's the game plan.
That's
That
that's the case. of my
That
life.
is my game plan. Have a hard nut wife, and they could.
I hate to say
Bully.
it, but that strategy's not working with you. Because she's not tough. You got two softies now. Right? So someone's got to be tough.
It's too early to tell.
You need to be tough.
It's too early to tell.
I just feel that, like, as a dad, you set the framework, you set the expectations, and you lead by example to an extent. And then I think the wife and the kids and everybody else they get the memo. That's the way I operate.
Yeah, but Ali's not strong. He's not tough. I know, he's soft. That's a problem.
Do you feel that it's sort of overcompensating for the way you were brought up? You were brought up under a dictatorship, so you're like, you know what?
No,
I'm
it's
gonna be
just
the
his
opposite of a dictator.
personality.
I'm gonna be a
I'm just-
marshmallow.
no.
It's just his personality.
Yeah?
Just me.
personality.
I'm soft.
What is soft?
Soft as in like I'm just too nice. Like they could do whatever they want.
You
I
don't
wouldn't say
enforce
I
anything.
wouldn't.
I saw it the other day. For example, he told my granddaughter to do something, and she stood there with a cross saying, "No, I'm not doing it." All right? He said, "Do it." No, I'm not doing it. And he couldn't do anything about it. She actually didn't do it. He actually didn't do anything about it. Now, you can't let her get away with it. If you let her get away with that, she's going to always do it.
That's impressive, man. She's arcing up to you, and she's always, 3 years old.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, me, you guys would never do that to me. You know why? Because you know the consequences if you've done
There's
that.
a
to me.
shovel.
Yeah?
There's a
My dad would have got the shovel out.
metal pole.
metal pole.
Metal pole.
Metal pole.
Metal pole.
That's what he bashed me with.
Yeah,
Metal
he
pole.
knows the metal pole.
That
Okay?
was a famous story, man.
The legendary story of the metal pole. All right? But anyway, she got away with that. My kids would never have got away with that. You do that to me, there's serious consequences on the spot. All right? And that will never do that. Never arc up to me ever again. But he just let her get away. So I was watching there. I was watching to see what Ali's going to do. Or did he learn anything from his dad? Nothing. She got away with it. You know what's going to happen from now on?
What's gonna happen?
That's good. You're going to get it all the time now. Right? Good luck.
100%.
Yeah. And what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Nothing.
That's the problem.
The thing about Ali, right now, the instruction is small and the consequence is small.
Yeah.
What if that amplifies? So when she's 15 and the instruction is significant and failure to follow the instruction has huge ramifications, and then you're like, she's not listening, and then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Great question.
That's
Yeah.
what I always ask myself. I'm like,
It's
you know
gotta start now.
What would
let-
you guys tell the viewers? Don't tell me. Let's tell the viewers. What would
But
you
it- but
give
it-
your advice? Come on.
I've always felt, I'm like, if you let the small indiscretions fly, it just leads to bigger behavior. So that's why you got to stamp it out. You put your foot down.
It's short-term pain for long-term gain. I know it's hurtful sometimes seeing you disciplining your kid, but you have to do it. It's something that you have to do. Otherwise, later on, as Muzza's right, it's going to be more serious stuff. What's going to happen if they're like someone on the social media when they're 14 and you say, no, you're not going to meet up with that person? They're going to say, no, I'm going to meet up with them. What are you going to do then? Huh? What are you going to do?
Cross that bridge when we get.
No, you can't do that. It starts now. The boundaries have to be set now.
What do you
Whatever-
do?
If dad
go
says
to
no,
your
it's no.
little 2-year-old daughter and be like, hey, if you like anyone on I don't know on YouTube, kids, please You can't be like, what are you gonna do?
No, what I'm saying is, today it could be something simple, but the boundaries have to be put there. They know that when dad says no, it's no. You can't let them get away with rebelling. Not at 2 years old. I mean, you're letting them rebel at 2 years old. What's going to happen when they're 10?
You have to get their permission.
Yeah. They're going to put boundaries around you and discipline you. All right?
They'll turn your Wi-Fi off.
They're going to turn your Wi-Fi off. All right?
Like, there's a lot of TikToks going around, right? People go on the roads, in the streets, and they do like roaming mics with people, and they be like, rank these three from the most important to the least important. It's your wife, your kid, and your mum, right? Every single person, probably 95% of the videos I've seen, is always kid, wife, mum, right? So everyone, majority of the parents out there, majority of the people out there are prioritizing their kids, right?
Yeah.
And then they prioritize the wife and then the mum, which is very opposite to what Islam teaches us.
Well, that's in line with what the Prophet ﷺ said. How kids are going to be like prisoners of their children, or something along that.
Parents are going to be.
Their parents, yeah. Parents are like prisoners of their children. So clearly, in my generation, generations before, it was always the parents came first, regardless. Even if you ask me now, out of those three, I'll say my mum, any day of the week, because that's how we were brought up, and that's what Islam has taught us. Because the parents is the ones that done the most for us. If you look at out of your wife and your kids, who's done more, and the mum, clearly your mum's done a lot more for you then, because that's when you really needed someone to look after you.
And then I heard a very good. Again, this is just I don't really agree to, but they made a good point, and it's like your mum had to love you because she gave birth, right? Your parents had to love you because they're the parents. Your kids love you because you're the parent. The only person that chose to love you is your spouse, right? So there's a lot of agendas to push the love direction. It's like anything but your parent, so you gotta like love your spouse and your child. They are your world. Muzz, if I were to ask you to rank, what would you do?
Muzz's gonna get in trouble now.
rank.
No, I'd say mum, wife, kid.
Mum, wife, kid.
Yeah.
You pick the wife over the kids.
Yeah.
I would never pick the wife over
So
the
the
kids.
reason why I say that is because, number one, I don't have those kids without that wife. Number two, that wife plays an incredibly important role in the upbringing of those children. And in my case, definitely. Like I can sit here and talk a big game about how good a parent I am, but in my case, fortunately, 80% of the work is done by her. I don't have to do worry that much. As I said, and a lot of people comment about my way of parenting, and like I run my home like I run a business. There are KPIs and deliverables. There are parameters and frameworks set, and that's it. That's how it has to be.
I love that. That's the way it should be.
That's how it should be, right? Because I'm not there 24/7. I can't be their full-time parent. These kids need a full-time parent. You think about us three. We've spent 4 out of the last 6 weeks traveling for business. So I need someone dependable at home who can bring up these children. I don't want to be bearing that headache. I can't. I simply don't have the time or the energy to be able to do that. And that's why the wife's important. It's very, very important. Because those kids, if they're not given the right upbringing, tarbiyah, whatever we call it in Islam and Deen and whatnot, they're going to become a huge headache for me in the future. And that's where she's incredibly important. So that's why I rank it in that order.
What if I ask you, huh?
What?
Your
I
ranking.
really gave it mum.
Mum, then what?
Kids.
And then?
Wife. And the only reason why I say that, I'm a bit different to Muzz, because if my kids were small, I'd say wife. But when the kids are grown up,
different stage.
like you guys are like my best friends now. It's different stage. All right?
Best buds.
Yeah, it's a bit different now, all right? 'Cause you
Best
guys are like
stretch.
you guys are adults now, and you're like my friends, my best friends, and my kids, obviously. So it's a bit different. He'll probably change depending on how the kids are when they're adults, but yeah, it's a bit different now. But if you asked me 20 years ago, I would have said exactly what he said.
So your kids are just useless when they're kids.
Well,
They're like low priority.
They absorb a lot of your resources.
They're TBC, man. Okay, to be confirmed.
Yeah, to be confirmed.
Yeah, the future will tell where they rank.
All right, so I'm gonna can a parent have a favorite kid?
Ooh.
I'll let Muzza answer.
No,
that.
you answer it.
Come on, as parents.
Well, you're seeing in
Come
front of your
on.
favorite right now.
Look. Look,
Cut the lies aside, right, the politics aside.
I never had.
Everyone says, "Oh, you don't have a favorite." Everyone has a favorite.
I never talk politics. I'm too straightforward. If
You know the
anything.
best
I always get
response
myself.
I've heard this? Have you heard Russell Peters, his response to this?
No.
He's like, it's the difference between the run and the walk. So he's like, let's say, for example, you're sitting in your living room and you're a double-story house and you hear a kid that trips upstairs and falls down the stairs. And you go, clang, 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 boom. And you hear, wah. So you know which kid is crying. And he's like, do you run to the kid or do you walk to the kid?
Depending
if you
on how
run
much
to
you
the
love the
kid,
kid.
exactly. If you run to the kid, that's your favorite. If you walk, you're like, you again. You get up. Like, that's just, I was like, that is the best response I've ever heard to that question.
So who would you run to?
No. The answer to that is I've always been non-political, where I said, you know what, I'm a true believer of fairness.
Here we go. This is political.
No, it's not. And I've said this through my whole entire parenthood of the last 30-something years of me being a parent, okay? So clearly, I was a parent very young. I was like 20, 21, 22, okay? And, of course, now the kids are, 30-something, 20, late 20s, so forth and so
This
forth.
is very political.
Okay, let me get to a point. 30 years ago, I answered that question. Like 25, 20 years ago, whatever. Where I believe in fairness. If the kid is good, I like that kid more. The kid's an imbecile, right? I wouldn't like that kid as good. And I know, and what pisses me off the most, it really pisses me off, are parents who try to make everyone equal. It pisses me off. Why are you making them equal when clearly one kid is much more better as a kid to you than the other kid, right? It pisses me off. I've said this too many times in my life, where there's a kid that's an imbecile, like really an imbecile, like a really shit kid, okay? And the other kid is sensationally good to the parents. But yet the parents have to be, I've got to be equal to them both. You're an idiot. You're being unfair to the kid that's actually good to you, all right? You're basically rewarding the idiot and making him equal with the kid that's putting a lot of effort in. I think that's unfair. I genuinely think that's unfair.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's unfair for the kid that's trying to be good, okay? So I said, you know what, I'm going to be a fair parent. Fair parent, if you're a prick to me as a kid, well, you're an idiot. And I'm not going to like you that much until you become a good kid, all right? And if you're a good kid to me, I'm going to favour you. I'm going to look after you more, all right? So I've been that parent. Now, other parents may think, well, that's just not right. Oh, man, you've got to be equal to everyone. No, screw you, all right? At the end of the day, if a kid's an idiot, he's an idiot. That's it, all right? And I'm gonna say he's an idiot, okay? And he's not going to get the benefits that the kid that's good is going to get, all right? So if they want to say, I'm an unfair dad, I'm an unfair parent, because I'm choosing one over the other, the only reason why I'm choosing the one over the other is because that's fairness. He is being a much better kid to his parents. The other one's being an idiot to his parents, and I'm not going to treat them equally. Because I think that's unfair to the kid that's actually doing the right thing. And I've stood by that principle for the last 20 years.
What would you say?
I don't know. My approach is that I think, love and respect from your parents is something that's earned. It's not a given. So and I think that as a parent, like, you have a favorite in one particular kid when they are doing more to earn that. So similar to his response. Like I transition between my kids. I was like, oh, you know what? Right now you're the favorite. No, you've now outperformed that one. So you change over time because they're not always going to be the same. One will stuff up something, one will do really well in something, one will, whatever it is, and whichever one is doing more, I guess, to win your love and respect and adoration, that's where your heart goes. But that's not just for parenting. I think that's in everything in life. Like, you can run a company, have staff, and you have some staff who are your close favorites and some staff who are sort of different to that. But then when the favorites start stuffing up and the other one starts stepping up, you're like, okay, well, that shifts. That continues to move. Friends, the same thing. Colleagues, same thing. It's in flux. So
see, one thing is giving the love back according to who's doing a better child. And this is where the pain comes from. the second part of this is the material return. Okay, the material return goes to the kid that's actually going out of their way to be a good kid.
Yeah.
For me, that's where the unfair parent comes into it, where people try to claim you're an unfair parent. Where, if there's a material outcome for the children, and I favour certain children, or one or two children over the other children, it's because they say, okay, you're a favourite child. It comes back to the principle of who's being a good kid. Now, if clearly one kid's an idiot and the other one's good, or the other one is good, I am going to materially benefit the one that's good than the one that's not good.
Yeah, well, they've earned it.
Yeah, but see, other people see that as an unfair.
Are you
balance.
saying that I'm your favorite?
Huh?
Are you saying I'm your favorite?
Did I say that?
I could probably answer that. There are moments when you are, and there are moments when you're not. You piss him off too much, you fall off the favourite chart.
Yeah, that's, and then Zen is my favorite.
Exactly.
So yeah, it sort of switches
Yeah,
over.
but the other one, where's the third one?
Well, the other one's got to improve the game. Okay? They got to improve their game, all right. But right now, there's rotating it between you and Zainab on, on when you do good and bad, all right?
No, define do good and bad. Like, what do we?
Don't piss me off.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Okay,
You piss me off, you start losing the ranks, okay?
you're an easy man to piss off.
I know, so don't do it.
That's the concerning part.
So don't do it.
That's the concerning part.
But I'm an easy man to make happy as well.
Yeah, kebab.
Yeah.
Buy me kebab.
That's
you're
right.
ready
That's
to
it.
go.
Buy me a
That's what
kebab, and
Zainab
you
keeps
get
on-
yeah.
automatically get a couple of stripes.
Zainab is master of that.
She's master's craft.
It's unbelievable.
She just fed me the other day. That's it. She got another 3 stripes for that.
What does she feed you?
The barbecue.
So I'm like second now.
Are you? Well, then you got to feed me a barbecue.
How do your
As
kids?
they say, man, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. That's it.
Yeah.
Feed the bloke.
That's right.
Not that hard.
Feeding does a lot.
He's becoming a giant in the last couple of years. He's eating
You
too much.
got to feed the beast.
So how,
right?
do you, how does a child like your kids like they clearly don't earn money to feed you?
No, but
So
it's more about behavior. It's how they.
who's your favorite right now? You could be
Ooh.
open. If you said they're watching, maybe they could up their game.
Yeah.
They've. Tough one.
Don't be political here. Just get to the point.
Oof. Well, the older one, the little one did really well in her taekwondo stuff yesterday. So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Oh wow!
But she belted up the kid she was competing with. Literally pinned
There you
her
go.
6
See
out
how
of
much
6.
taekwondo does?
I was
That's
like, you know what?
crazy.
It's pretty good. So
There you
I
go.
was like, you know what? Okay, right now. Yeah. 24 hours. I'll get home and then she'll annoy me with something. So I'm like, hey, you know what?
That's crazy. I feel sorry for Zahra now.
But
She's the one that watches this religiously, and why are you hating on her?
No,
man?
no, she'll redeem herself. Don't worry.
That's crazy.
The good thing is, and again, like, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't like this, but, and I reckon you've done this as a parent, competition between your kids
Yep.
is a good thing, man.
Mm.
A lot of parents try not to create competition. I was like, man, I'd rather my kids compete with one another than have them trying to compete like with random outsiders. And between like my brother and I, because we were similar in age, gee, we were competitive as, man, seriously. Everything. Academically, anything. Like, I had to beat that kid. Had to. Because I was older.
I can't really relate because I've always blown my brother out of the water.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's
Great. I'd love you guys to talk about participation. Kids, there's no winning or losing these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I love competition.
Yeah.
I love competition. Makes you better.
I know. I've always felt that as a parent, your job is to prepare your kids for life outside of the nest. And the world outside the nest is full of competition.
Very
Everything
competitive.
is about numbers, deliverables, quantifiable outcomes. And if we don't train our kids to be mentally able to hack that pressure and be able to physically deliver under pressure, man, they're going to be
and
failures.
that's the biggest change in the modern society, because you go through school, every single person is getting a participation award
Yeah.
of some sort, right? Until you finish school, and then boom, you go to uni. Even they're starting to do participation awards, and then boom, you go to work. It's dog eat dog, man.
Yeah.
It's a dog eat dog out there in the real, and it's a cultural shock for them, because like, hey, I'm not getting recognized for me moving my pencil this way,
just turning up.
right? For just for just turning up. Hey, clap for me every time I come to work, right? Please praise me. But when they don't get that, and then the boss is like, hey, you're 30 seconds late. They're like, oh shit, I'm mentally disabled now, right? That's how it is, right? That's where a lot of people,
Mind you, it's getting to the stage where probably in 10 years' time, that's going to happen.
It's already like that.
Where if you come on time, you're going to get massive awards saying, "Oh, you're the best employee of the month." All right?
It could honestly probably.
I'm
Honestly,
telling you, it's going down that path.
the big woke corporations are probably already doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
There's,
sure it's
there's an
coming.
award for whoever comes on time.
time.
Whoever comes to work at this point.
Yeah.
I think we should start implementing that.
What?
We
Giving out awards for coming on time.
because everyone comes late now. But yeah, honestly, like the participation awards are just mentally ruining everyone. It's creating this false image of how life is.
Oh yeah, of success.
Yeah,
As a kid, you feel that you're successful just by virtue of an award that wasn't. It was never really earned.
Man, you guys don't want to hear how it was when I was a kid, but anyway, oh man, it was competitive beast. You'll be busting your chops, okay, busting yourself, and because you didn't come second or third, you get smashed for it. I mean, if you came second or third, you had to come first. Second or third was not good enough, let alone participation. You'll get smashed for coming second. I mean, it was brutal, man, back then. I've got a lot of examples which I won't talk about now. It's just long stories, a lot of painful.
This is going to be controversial, but I've always been a firm believer because so many people, almost every parent right now, when their child gets a degree from uni, they are like the most proudest parent the world has ever seen. My humble opinion is big whoop.
Yeah,
Big whoop.
agree.
Every single person has a degree now. Big whoop. You got an arts degree. Congratulations. What are you going to do with it? I just paid...
You decided to sound like me.
I
now.
paid $30,000 to put a receipt on the wall. Big whoop. Every second person... Everyone has a degree now. Every single person. Everyone. And then you look at, the WAG parents, the Turkish parents, and blah, blah, blah. Wow, my child has a degree. Let's throw a party. Let's buy him a car.
I hate to
Let's
say
do
it.
these. Like, what?
I hate to say it, but
And that creates a false sense of success.
they've
if
even got
it's-
graduation for high school now, man.
There's-
High school, they've got
There's
graduation.
all sorts of things. Like, people need to stop making everyone feel, a sense of achievement for every little thing that's done. Everyone's doing it. Everyone. Have high standards. I'm a big person for that. Have high standards, right? Now, I'm going to do a halal money idea. But like when you came to me and said, how many downloads are we going to get for halal money? I randomly said 50,000 downloads by the end of the year. Like, I could have said 10,000. You would have been like, wow, that's great. No, I want high standards. So I keep pushing myself. Download Halal Money app. It's on Google and Apple Store. Halal Money. Halal Money. But pretty much, right? But the thing is, like, as a person, you should always have these crazy goals for yourself that keeps pushing it. The crazier the goal, even if you aim for the stars, you'll land on the moon.
Other way around.
No, see, Muzza,
The stars are higher.
that's my parenthood now coming out. See,
It's good.
I've always made sure that him just doing a normal kick and take one day,
Yeah.
this would happen,
Like,
right?
we would
He had to be the best kick in history,
would win a
man.
tournament, get gold. I'd go to him, Dad, look, you know what our reward was? Getting bashed. Getting bashed.
He became Australian champion. in
I became
taekwondo,
Australian champion.
and I kicked his ass.
Australian
I said, "Why are you
champion.
not the world champion, you idiot?"
Australian champion for taekwondo for my age. And I got belted for it.
Maybe you said a
pretty rough.
participation award. I think Joe Biden should get a participation award for that presidential debate. he
Well,
had.
for just being alive.
He's going to go, and then Trump says, I didn't understand him. I don't even think he knows what he's talking about, but anyway. He should get a participation award. The guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Possible.
It's
Yeah,
a
it is.
whole other podcast. We are going to do a podcast on that election
insane.
thing. That is a gold mine. That guy has a participation award for being a human. I'm telling you, it's
Are you
crazy.
sure?
It's crazy, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But see, clearly my parenting has worked. His targets are up there. So all that hard, tough love I've given you, that's the outcome. That's what good parenting is all about. You finished your degree. I didn't give a rat's.
I didn't give a rat's.
All right?
I
I
honestly
said to
didn't
you,
care.
Ali, where's your master's? As soon as you got your degrees, I said, where's your master's?
I don't even know where my degree is. Like, I generally don't know where it is. It was
Actually,
on a
where is
wall
it?
somewhere and it just vanished. And I don't really care. Because like he's always been competitive with everything. Like, we'll play Call of Duty together. Like, we'll end up in a fight. That's how competitive it is, right? But it's because it conditions you to just keep going and going and going and going. And parents don't have that killer instinct now. It's everything's just, well done. You moved this pencil to the right. Congratulations, you're a genius.
I mean, he's seen that with go-karting, how competitive.
Oh,
Even
it's
at this age,
nuts.
we just went go-karting a few months ago. We're killing each other again.
Yeah.
All my life, I wanted him to be competitive, so I had to compete against him. So I said, you know what? Instead of him competing against, crappy people out there who he's going to beat easily, let him compete against the best. All right? Let him compete against the best. Let us see if he can beat the best. And I've always competed against you, personally myself. All right? And most of the time I kicked his ass, but that's okay. All right? He still tried to pass me in a lot of the stuff. Even Call of Duty, which is the game online, I used to play against him. All right? We used to play. Because I said, you know what? Let him compare against the legend, yeah? The dad, that's what a good dad is. Forget him mucking around. I will be his friend.
You learn what your kids like, their hobbies, and you just mold into
That's exactly
it
what I did.
and just play with them, compete with them, and just make them competitive beasts.
But see, if you're going to be a lousy parent where you're just so crap in everything, all right, where you can't even compete against your own kid, well, then you're a crappy parent. Become a competitive beast yourself. Let the kids see that, you know what, my dad's a competitive beast. I want to beat this guy. All his life he's trying to beat me, all right? All his life, right? That's why you got to be a competitive beast yourself. That way his standards go up, okay? But not every parent can do that. But you got to do it in your own way. You got to be there for your kid, and you got to make him competitive. There's a lot of effort in that, though. But yeah, not every parent can do that.
Yeah. No, it's way too much work for most people.
Way too much work. The amount of work I put into these kids, insane. But you know what? You at least you get the benefits later on when they become adults.
On that note, do you guys have anything else to say?
You know what?
Another great chat.
I actually feel sorry for the parents of these days. Either they work hard, like I did, or their kids are going to go offline. They're gonna lose their way.
But then again, there are a lot of good parents out there as well. There's a lot of good ones, but I guess the way the society is going now, it's pretty bad, and people need to lift their games. People need to lift their
You
games.
can't be lazy as a parent. You can't be lazy even for 5 minutes. Like so many times I've come from work very, very tired. And what did I do? I still spent time with you guys. Even taekwondo. I just come from work, take them to taekwondo. So tired. I used to work 12-hour shifts or 13, 14 hours, come and take them. But you know what? That's what a parent is. You can't make I'm tired as an excuse as a parent.
Yeah.
You just got to work. You got to work hard. You can't just rest.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Again, a lot of these are our opinions. Some people agree, disagree. That's completely fine. Everyone has their own opinion. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, do give us a like, subscribe, give us a review, give us all that. The next one will probably be the presidential one. Really looking forward to that chat. I think we could add some value there. What do you think, old man?
Oh, man. The old man is Biden, man. He should just die or bloody retire
good
or
Lord.
something. Just
No,
go.
that one's going to be
That's a trailer.
a very controversial podcast, but I feel like it's something that needs to be discussed. But yeah, until then, I hope you guys enjoy life, parenting, and all that good stuff, and take care of yourselves.